And good morning, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips. Thanks so much for streaming with us. At least 100 wildfires are burning in California, including the 8th largest in state history. The Dixie Fire now burning more than 270,000 acres, engulfing the entire town of Greenville near Sacramento. Officials there warning residents to leave immediately before the fire erupted, burning everything in its path. And near Colfax, California, residents there taking to the road as the river fire quickly scorched more than 1,400 acres. The White House hoping it will be a paradigm shift for our country and how we drive. President Biden expected to sign an executive order today intended to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and pollution from cars and trucks. The goal? That half of all new vehicles sold by 2030 will be zero emissions vehicles, specifically electric vehicles or hybrids. The New York Assembly's impeachment investigation into New York Governor Andrew Cuomo coming to a close after that blistering report found that he sexually harassed 11 women. Lindsey Boylan, one of the first women to come forward accusing the governor of harassing her, is now planning to file a lawsuit. Governor Cuomo still denying the allegations, remaining defiant in the face of growing calls for him to step down. Now at least 5 local prosecutors opening their own investigations. The Delta variant is now responsible for 93% of all new COVID cases in the United States. The White House COVID-19 response team and public officials meeting at this moment as hospitalizations are on the rise nationwide. Experts say the U.S. could soon see as many as 200,000 cases a day, a number that we haven't seen since the vaccine rollout began. Louisiana is facing the highest number of hospitalizations since the beginning of the pandemic, overwhelming healthcare workers there. In a moment, we're going to share a conversation with an unvaccinated father hospitalized in Tennessee, pleading with all of us to get the shot. But first, ABC's Marcus Moore takes us inside a hospital in Shreveport, Louisiana.
The highly contagious Delta variant now responsible for 93% of all new cases in the U.S. Dr. Anthony Fauci warning we could hit 200,000 cases a day. In Louisiana, healthcare workers are struggling to keep up as the state faces its highest number of hospitalizations since the pandemic began. 90% of those hospitalized patients are unvaccinated.
We're just exploding. We're bursting at the seams.
75-year-old Curtis Cannon is one of them. He's been in the hospital since July 23rd.
There's a lot of people out there who are reluctant to get vaccinated, and they don't believe it will help them. Yes. What do you tell those people?
I tell them they need to get vaccinated because this isn't fun.
The influx of COVID patients is taking its toll on the staff here at Willis-Knighton Medical Center.
To be honest, I probably cry most days at work, and I cry when I go home.
And why? Why?
I'm tired. I've been doing this for 1.5 years, and it feels like there's never going to be an end. And if you're not going to get the vaccine, at least wear a mask. Try to be a part of the solution.
More than 58,000 patients are now hospitalized across the country with COVID-19. 18 to 49-year-olds accounting for 41% of them, and concern growing about the most vulnerable, children. Pediatric hospitalizations are now 3.5 times higher than they were a month ago. In Memphis, where 2 children died from COVID over the weekend, a doctor there telling our affiliate WATN the Delta variant is to blame.
What's really changed over the last week and a half is we've started seeing an increase in number of kids being admitted with acute COVID.
And so, Kira, we've seen here in Shreveport how the strain on the hospital system is really, it's enough to drive some of the nurses and doctors here to tears. And one doctor, a pulmonologist, told me that in many ways, when you look at the numbers, they're essentially back to square one with no clear path or end to this crisis that they're in. And a charge nurse, she said that she believes that people who are not getting vaccinated are gambling with their lives. Kira.
Well, this is definitely reporting we must pay attention to. Marcus Moore in Shreveport, Louisiana. Appreciate you so much. Well, a lot of people are calling this the pandemic of the unvaccinated now, and it's taking its toll across the country, as you can see, even through Marcus's report there. Hospitals in Virginia, in the past 6 months, nearly 99% of the COVID patients who were infected, hospitalized, or passed away were not fully vaccinated. Prime anchor Lindsay Davis spoke to Travis Campbell, a resident of Virginia, who is now among those in the throes of battling COVID, not able to leave his hospital bed. And he's been in a Tennessee hospital for more than a dozen days now, urging all of us with every breath that he takes to get vaccinated. Take a listen.
Travis, we see you there with the oxygen mask on. Just want to start out by asking how you're feeling.
I'm making it. It's a fight. And you think you have to fight for your life. You don't realize you're fighting for every single breath all day long. It's tough. This is a very serious strand. The Delta is more aggressive, and it attacks those that have issues and that have not been vaccinated.
And Travis, as you say, it's a fight just to talk and get every breath out. Why was it so important for you tonight to use that breath that you're struggling to get out to talk to us?
If I have a day or two left, I don't want to waste my time. I want to help as many people as I can to let them see the real truth, that it's real, and it's only getting stronger and faster. And it's very important. I would rather be covered and protected than if something does happen and I have to worry about the repercussions of a vaccine versus being buried in 7 days.
And Kelly, I'm told that you were also hospitalized with COVID and 2 of your children were also infected. Would you say that the virus is more dangerous than you and your family initially thought?
Yes, we did. It hadn't been close to us, so we didn't know the great depth of it until it hit our family.
And Kelly, you're in an area that, according to recent data, is extremely high risk, though. Neither of you got vaccinated. Why did you opt not to get vaccinated?
It wasn't that we were against it. We heard you'll probably still get it, or, everybody talks, but we just put it in the back of our mind and kept saying, we'll do it tomorrow, and we have a very busy life, and that is no excuse, but that's our excuse.
Out of sight, out of mind, and COVID started going away. So you kind of think about it's past you, and you may have beat your odds. But now with this new Delta, everything's changed, and it's stronger than it ever was.
And look, I want to be very clear. This is not about victim shaming in any way. I'm just trying to really understand that when you started hearing the reports, though, I know there was a time when a lot of us thought that it was passing us, but then we started hearing from health officials saying that this is a crisis of the unvaccinated, right? And we started hearing that 97 to 99% of those who were hospitalized and those who were dying were unvaccinated. At the time, you still just thought, what?
Well, that's an excellent question. Earlier, before the COVID was determined it was COVID, there was a huge virus that was going around, and everybody had the alike symptoms, and everybody was sick. And so you automatically assumed if you were sick that you had the COVID and you wouldn't get it again. Well, that's not accurate. The antibodies are only good for about 90 days based on what I've been told. And that, therefore, is why we felt it wasn't an urgent matter to get the vaccine. And I was wrong.
And Kelly, you still have COVID, is that right, at this time? But you're out of the hospital and just there now visiting your husband?
I'm just visiting, yes, yes.
And what's your condition tonight?
I'm well. I had a few symptoms. They didn't last very many days. Didn't have anything like Travis. I was really sick for one day. That's pretty much it.
What's the prognosis for you, Travis? What are doctors telling you?
To fight. They're doing everything they can do. Next step would be a chest tube, breather, ventilator. My main concern is I want my friends and family to understand that if you get this Delta variant, that's not the real problem. The real problem would be you finding a bed and you finding somewhere that can help you, because it's just like a fish out of water. You can't breathe. You're going to suffocate. And it's miserable. And I beg you, please see your doctor and make an evaluated decision and protect your family or prepare yourself for your next phase of life.
Travis and Kelly, I really cannot thank you enough for joining us tonight. We are certainly sending prayers and well wishes for your recovery. I think that certainly your message is poignant, and for many Americans, perhaps it'll be life-saving to hear your words. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our thanks, of course, to Lindsay, Travis, and Kelly for that interview. Let's bring in infectious disease specialist and ABC News medical contributor Dr. Todd Ellerin once again for more on the Delta variant surge. So, Dr. Ellerin, we've heard stories like this seemingly every day now for the past year and a half or so. People who admit to not taking COVID seriously, they didn't social distance, wear a mask, get vaccinated, and now they're urging others to not make the same mistakes they did. And yet, we're seeing cases surging again. So what's it going to take for messages like Travis's that we just heard there to actually sink in?
Right. Kara, that was such a powerful message that we're hearing from Travis and Kelly, and I'm really wishing them the best. I think one of the things that's important that I want people to understand is that taking the vaccine is not a political decision. It doesn't make you any less conservative if you take the vaccine. The COVID doesn't care, what, side of the aisle we're on. It wants to take us all down. And the best way we can sort of take the life and breath out of this virus is by doing it together, and by getting vaccinated, by masking indoors, especially if you're unvaccinated or if you're vulnerable, even if you are vaccinated. So these are the steps we can take to get the cases going in the other direction, because right now they're going in the wrong direction. So it's not too late. I just urge people to roll up their sleeves, and this is a lifeline that we have. It really is, and I just want people to do that. And I really think that watching Travis and what he's going through right now, I just want people to think about that. And, sometimes the message and the messenger are both equally as important, as we saw here.
Well, that's one of the most powerful interviews I have seen thus far, for sure. Meanwhile, there's some good news, right, on the vaccine front. Moderna's president saying that data shows its vaccine is about 93% effective now after just 6 months. So what does that tell you about vaccines and how they're working against the Delta variant, and whether booster shots may even be necessary?
Right, a lot to unpackage there, but it's really good news overall. Of course, we knew this news was coming because we heard, Pfizer's news before, and we know that they're both messenger RNA vaccines. They tend to have very similar effectiveness, very good effectiveness and safety. What it doesn't tell us, though, is how it is against Delta, because in the 6 months in their phase 3 trial, Delta wasn't wasn't in predominance at that point. So we're going to have to wait to see. Now, we already know that all of the vaccines have reduced effectiveness against Delta, but, and here's the most important but, all of them protect really well against severe illness, hospitalization, intensive care unit stay, and death, and that's really the key. So more to come on that. We'll hear the news, but those numbers will go down, but still overall very powerful.
Well, earlier today on GMA, Dr. Anthony Fauci said that if the U.S. doesn't get community spread under control, we could see another variant sooner or later. How concerning is that, Todd?
Well, there's always a variant, lurking on the horizon, because that's what RNA viruses do. They mutate, and it's about the survival of the fittest. And right now we're seeing the most fit, the most contagious virus that we've seen to date, which is the Delta variant. But if we allow viral replication in the U.S. or anywhere globally, then what's going to happen is there'll be another variant that just takes Delta's place, and potentially it will be more contagious. So the best way we can do that is to really ramp it down through maximal vaccination, through masking indoors, doing the things that we know. And by the way, when you talk about the booster, the more uncontrolled viral replication there is, and the longer it persists, the more likely we will need a booster. For immunocompromised patients, that time is now. But for others, for the general population, we have to wait to hear what the FDA and the CDC, the NIH think about the booster. We can look to other countries like Israel to figure that part out.
Well, and we heard also from Marcus Moore earlier today. He's been reporting out of Shreveport, Louisiana. Pediatric hospitalizations are surging. What can you tell us about how the Delta variant impacts children right now as schools are set to bring students back?
Okay, so a couple of aspects to this. One, there's no question that the Delta variant is the most contagious. Remember, it also leads to about 1,000-fold higher amounts of virus. So you can imagine that may be one of the reasons that we're hearing that more kids are being hospitalized right now. Now, we know that in general, even with Delta, most kids will do well, even those that are hospitalized. But we don't want to risk our kids getting infected. So especially for those under 12, we want what's called cocoon around them. And that means everyone who's around our kids, we want to be fully vaccinated. As adults, we can do that. And of course, right now, any kids aged 12 to 17, please, as parents, we want to really urge them to roll up their sleeves and to accept the vaccine.
Amen to that. Dr. Todd Ellerin, always good to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Take care, Kara. You too.
Well, wildfires in Greece continue to rage, fueled by a heat wave that's expected to continue for the coming days. That blaze north of Athens is forcing dozens of people to evacuate now, as winds are expected to pick up in that region. Thankfully, firefighters have prevented flames from reaching the birthplace of the ancient Olympics. ABC's Inez de la Catera is close to Athens and is tracking all of this for us. Hi, Inez.
That's right, Kara. Yeah, firefighters here still trying to control these fires. More than 100 fires burning across Greece right now. To give you a sense of where we are, we're about 30 minutes from downtown Athens right now. This is as far as we can get. This checkpoint here, firefighters aren't letting us anywhere beyond that. The front line of that fire, just a few hundred feet from here, you can see the smoke in the air. Take a look at that, just how massive that cloud of smoke is. And thousands of residents in the region have been evacuated. This fire in particular had been brought under control yesterday, but because of the strong winds that are picking up and because of the scorching temperatures, the fire here actually reigniting and spreading. So they're struggling to get this fire under control right now. We're being told the Prime Minister actually might be coming through here right now. Firefighters have said he will be coming to inspect the grounds of what is essentially a former royal palace here that was being threatened. They had managed to keep that palace safe yesterday, and now it's once again, they're on the front lines fighting this fire. This is the scene across Greece right now. Again, hundreds of fires burning across Greece, thousands of residents evacuated. Yesterday, we were on the island of Evia. Their residents were being told to get to the beach to evacuate by boat to leave it all behind. Also of concern was the site of the first Olympics Games. that has now been controlled, but that was also a serious concern. We're talking about the Olympics right now because of those games in Tokyo. The site of those first original games has been around for thousands of years, now in the year 2021 being threatened by the blaze, by these fires across Greece. When you're talking about why these fires are spreading, it's because of these scorching temperatures. And you can hear right now there's a helicopter flying overhead, airplane, water-dropping airplane flying overhead, still trying to put out those blazes. But it's the scorching temperatures, this heat wave. Greece currently dealing with its worst heat wave in 3 decades. That is making for these really dry conditions that are causing these outbreaks and then helping spread the flames. Kira?
Wow, as you hear the sirens going right past. Inez de la Cotera tracking the latest for us in Greece there. Thank you so much. Coming up, U.S. pole vaulter struck gold in Tokyo, beating out all her competitors. We have the latest highlights from the games. Our Kenneth Moten taking to the streets of Tokyo and putting his karate skills to test. We're live from the games right after the break. And welcome back. You're watching ABC News Live. U.S. pole vaulter Katie Najat has taken home the gold, beating out all of her competitors from the Russian Olympic Committee and Great Britain. For more on this now, I'd like to bring in our Kenneth Moten from Tokyo. He's been with us following all the games. Kenneth, just how big of a win was that for Katie? She's sure happy.
She is, and it's always a big deal when you win a gold medal, right, Kira? But it's even bigger when you do it by defeating the world champion, that Russian athlete who took silver, Katie Najat there. She was just incredible, just a great performance. She said her first few jumps were ugly, but the one that counted was oh so pretty, Kira. It was so pretty. It was 4.90 meters. That's a little more than 16 feet that she cleared. It's also what the pole vaulter did to get that gold medal.
Incredible. All right. Well, not so pretty, unfortunately. Now, more than 5,000 new positive COVID-19 cases there in Tokyo. What is that? About 178% increase since last Thursday when we were talking, and a new record for the city, right? So just put it in perspective. How bad is the COVID crisis in the city, and what's it like to move around there and be there?
Well, Kira, this is a major city that is still operating. It is a city that is still masked up, still social distancing, following strict COVID protocols. But it's also trying to get that low vaccination rate up as well. It's concerned about the Delta variant, and that's why we see a state of emergency not only here in Tokyo, but also in the surrounding areas that will be in effect long after these games are over. But you mentioned that new daily positive cases, a little more than 5,000. That is a high for Tokyo throughout this entire pandemic. Just incredible numbers. But when you look at the Olympic numbers, the numbers of positive cases tied to the Olympic Games, that number is about 350. And so Olympic officials say the Olympic bubble is holding up, is doing its job. The COVID protocols they have there with the Olympics is working as far as how it compares to what's happening with the city of Tokyo. So again, they say it's working. And again, we only have a few days left of these Olympic Games.
Well, I'll tell you what else is working. That's all your punches and your kicks, because before we let you go, Kenneth, we must hear more about Cuomo in Tokyo. Today is the first day. And on that note, today's the first day of the karate competition in Tokyo. We heard that you, I don't know, have been training up, maybe going to compete.
Well, I'm just trying to be your bodyguard, Kira, when I get back to the States.
I'll take it.
I heard you may need one. Yes, karate debuted here at the Tokyo Olympics, and what better place than Japan, Okinawa, the birthplace of the martial art. And I want to talk about what happened today with that debut match there. It was a little bit of an upset, Kira, between Japan and Spain. It was Sandra Sanchez of Spain who took the very first karate Olympic gold It wasn't Japan, it was Spain, but she is the reigning world champion here, so it really shouldn't be a surprise. Karate practice all over this world, but it means so much to the Japanese culture. And so, yes, we decided to get a little instruction. And so we found a master, we found a sensei, we found an instructor to help us, show us some moves, to tell us about the importance of karate. She showed me a few things, some basic techniques. I mean, like real basic, Kira, but she also had some moves of her own. She was so impressive, and we cannot wait to show that to our viewers tomorrow right here on ABC News Live.
And I love also how you were sporting your ABC News gear there, so everybody was well aware who you were representing in Tokyo.
You got to wear the uniform. You got to wear the uniform. Did you like that? You like what you saw, Kira?
Oh, I love those moves. And the Jane Fonda headband. Glad you were bringing that back. Or maybe that was Richard Simmons. I have to think about that. Okay, Chris loved that. My Florida Rick would love that.
It was a mix of both.
Going old school. Kamo in Tokyo, love you.
Love you, Kira.
All right, let's see where the medal count stands right now. The U.S. is currently in the lead with 91 total medals. China is in second with 74. The Russian Olympic Committee follows in third with 58 medals in total. And, of course, our Kamo will be bringing home his own special medal. Now, we'd like to thank all of our Amazon drivers as heroes for getting our packages to us in the mere hours. But one Amazon driver is now being called an angel for helping one of his customers find a stolen truck. You're going to love this story by our Will Gans.
We've seen Amazon delivery men playing hopscotch. We've seen them busting a move, and now solving crimes.
You never know who's going to have the act of kindness in them and be looking out for somebody else, you know, and the message is higher power, prayer and power, and there are still some good people out here.
Mark Cutlip walked out of his Bay Area home this week to find his brand new truck and trailer were gone. Without them, he can't run his brand new junk removal business.
Called the Vallejo Police Department and called a couple friends to help me put it out on social media.
He and his friends also sharing the information on Facebook. Then Mark got an Amazon delivery from Henry Martinez Jr.
I showed him a photo of my truck and trailer and asked him to keep a lookout for it. And I gave him my business card.
Just a few hours later, Mark getting a phone call from Henry, who had spotted the truck and trailer just a quarter mile away.
I was ecstatic. I made it to his location couple seconds.
This morning, Mark saying he considers Henry an angel. The thief did make off with the truck's catalytic converter, but Mark says at least he got the truck and trailer back. He only started his hauling business a few months ago.
I saved every dime so I can get a dump bed trailer and make a legitimate career out of this. And that's the goal. I wouldn't have been able to afford to buy all this again. And I'm so grateful to God and Henry Martinez Jr. from Amazon.
And we love you, Henry. All right, our thanks to Will Gans for that story. And that does it for this newscast. I'm Kira Phillips in for Diane Macedo today. Thanks for joining us. Remember, ABC News Live is here for you all day with the latest news, context, and analysis. I'll see you back here at 3 p.m. Eastern for the breakdown. Have a great day.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.